Toothpaste is the one product nobody questions. It's been in the bathroom since childhood. The dentist recommends it. The packaging says protect and clean, and the name usually has the word white somewhere on it. Nobody reads the back. The brands people have been using for years, the sensitivity formula, the whitening one, the natural option in the paper box, were put through independent testing. What came back wasn't great. SLS in the products built for sensitive mouths, a compound the European Union has moved to restrict, sitting inside the whitening lines. And the brand that held on to a chemical the FDA eventually banned for decades while marketing it as the reason their toothpaste was better than everyone else's. 9 brands that don't hold up, 3 that do. And at least one of them is probably in the bathroom right now. Number 9. Aquafresh Extreme Clean. The Extreme Clean line is marketed around protection, triple protection specifically: clean mouth, fresh breath, cavity defense. That's a confident claim for a product competing in a crowded aisle, and the packaging delivers it with the full weight of clinical blue and white color design. The back of the tube is doing something different. Independent testing of the Extreme Clean formula confirmed the presence of sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS, the foaming agent that research has linked to increased canker sore occurrence in individuals with sensitive oral tissue. The mechanism is fairly well understood at this point. SLS is a surfactant. It reduces surface tension, which is how it spreads toothpaste through the mouth. In doing so, it also strips the mucosal lining that protects soft tissue. For most people, that layer regenerates quickly. For people prone to oral sensitivity, the stripping effect triggers a cycle of irritation and ulceration. Studies confirmed a reduction in canker sore occurrence when participants switched to SLS-free formulas. Beyond SLS, independent testing found titanium dioxide in the formula. It found sodium saccharin, and it found D and C red number 30, a synthetic dye present at an ingredient concern score of 4 in the independent review. D and C red number 30 does not clean teeth. It does not protect enamel. It does not prevent cavities. It makes the product look a particular way. And in the Extreme Clean formula, that particular look carries one of the higher individual ingredient concern scores in this entire research set. The triple protection claim is on the front. The synthetic dye with a score of 4 is on the back. Those are 2 different conversations. Number 8. Arm & Hammer. Truly radiant, bright, and strong. Baking soda has a reputation. It is the natural cleaner, the kitchen staple, the ingredient that feels honest in a way that a 12-syllable chemical compound does not. Arm & Hammer has spent decades building a brand identity around that ingredient, and the Truly Radiant line leans on it fully. Bright packaging, a name that promises structural integrity for enamel, and the implicit message that the simplicity of baking soda is doing the cleaning here. The independent testing of this specific formula was updated as recently as June 2024. What it found was baking soda, and quite a bit more. SLS is present in the Truly Radiant formula. Titanium dioxide is confirmed. The independent review returned a moderate cancer concern flag for this product. Not a finding that establishes a direct link, but a flag that places the formula in a category that warrants attention. The front of the pack leans on the natural cleaning image of sodium bicarbonate. The back of the pack carries ingredients that exist in a different conversation entirely. There is a version of this product that would match what the brand implies. This formula is not quite that product. The baking soda is on the front. The rest of the ingredient list is not. When a brand's entire identity is built around one ingredient, it's worth asking what the other ingredients are doing while that one takes the credit. Number 7. Sensodyne Complete Protection. This one requires some context, because the brand context is the entire story. Sensodyne is the sensitivity brand. That is the full positioning. People reach for it specifically because their mouths are struggling. Exposed dentin from enamel erosion, reactive nerve endings, gums that bleed when brushed. The Complete Protection line takes that positioning as far as it can go. It does not promise some protection. It promises complete protection. For the consumer standing in that aisle with genuinely sensitive teeth, that word is doing significant work. Independent testing returned a score of 3 for this formula. It flagged moderate cancer concern. It flagged moderate allergen concern. And it confirmed the presence of SLS, the foaming agent most consistently linked in research to oral tissue irritation and canker sore recurrence in people prone to sensitivity. The logic here runs in a troubling direction. The people most likely to reach for a product marketed as complete sensitivity protection are the people most likely to have oral tissues already compromised. Disrupted enamel, receded gums, mucosal lining under stress. Those are precisely the people for whom SLS has the most documented potential for harm. The complete protection name is doing everything it can on the front of the pack. The SLS is doing something else on the back of it. Independent testing also found titanium dioxide and unspecified flavoring compounds that carry their own concern ratings in the research. For a product whose entire reason for existing is to protect what's already been compromised, the ingredient profile raises a reasonable question about whether the front of the pack and the back of the pack are having the same conversation. They are not. Number 6. Sensodyne whitening. Sensitivity and gum, still in the Sensodyne family, different product line, the same pattern running underneath. This formula adds a whitening claim to the sensitivity and gum positioning, and in adding that claim, adds propylene glycol to the ingredient list. Propylene glycol is a compound the FDA monitors in other consumer product contexts for its potential to cause irritation to skin and mucous membrane tissue. Independent testing assigned it a concern score of 3 in this specific formulation. It is present in a product marketed to people whose gum tissue and oral membranes are already compromised enough that they sought out a product specifically designed for that condition. FD&C Blue number 1 is confirmed in the formula, a synthetic dye scoring a 3 in independent review. SLS is confirmed. The independent review captured the 2020 formulation, framed here as the data available at the time of this research. The moderate cancer and moderate allergen flags returned in independent testing. There is a pattern worth noting across both Sensodyne entries on this list. The sensitivity branding is consistent. The ingredient profiles contain elements that independent research has associated with exactly the kinds of oral issues the products position themselves to address. That gap between the consumer the front of the pack is speaking to and what the back of the pack contains is most acute in a brand built entirely around trust with vulnerable users. The formula is what it is. The question is whether the people buying it know what they're buying. Number 5. Tom's of Maine. This one gets its own moment. Tom's has spent decades constructing one of the most coherent brand identities in the personal care aisle. Natural ingredients, thoughtful sourcing, packaging that implies the company thought carefully about what goes inside the tube and what happens to the tube after it's empty. The consumer picking up Tom's is making a deliberate choice, a choice that says something about how they think about what goes in their body and on their teeth. That choice is the product, as much as the toothpaste is the product. Independent testing of the whole care formula found SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, the foaming agent, present in the natural toothpaste that built its entire identity on being different from the mainstream brands using sodium lauryl sulfate. That alone might prompt a label check. But here is where the research found something more specific. The Rapid Relief Sensitive line, the formula sometimes described as the cleaner option within the brand, the one some sources point to as the SLS-free Tom's formula, was also independently tested. It also contains SLS. Same ingredient, different product, different name on the front, same back-of-pack reality. Both formulas, independently tested, both confirmed containing the ingredient the brand's natural identity implies it avoids. The natural positioning sits on the front of both tubes. The SLS sits on the back of both of them. The gap between those two facts is not a minor labeling nuance. It is the central question a brand built on ingredient transparency should be able to answer clearly. The research went looking for that answer. What came back was SLS. Twice. Number 4. Crest 3D White. Glamorous white. The whitening category is where the front-of-pack claims reach their highest altitude. Years of stains removed, visibly whiter in days. A glamorous smile. The name of this product is, in fact, Glamorous White. The aspiration is fully on display. The back of the pack contains SLS. It contains sucralose. And it contains titanium dioxide, which is where the regulatory context becomes relevant. In 2021, the European Food Safety Authority completed a review of titanium dioxide and concluded that it could not rule out genotoxicity concerns for titanium dioxide nanoparticles. The following year, the European Union moved to restrict its use in food products based on that finding. The FDA continues to approve titanium dioxide for use in toothpaste and cosmetics at current levels in the United States. The two regulatory bodies are not currently aligned on this ingredient. That divergence is not a settled argument in either direction. It is an ongoing scientific and regulatory conversation, and the EU and the US have reached different conclusions from the available evidence. What is clear is that titanium dioxide is present in a whitening toothpaste formula, providing optical whiteness to the product, at a moment when one of the world's major regulatory bodies has moved to restrict it based on safety concerns. Independent testing updated this formula as recently as May 2024. The glamorous smile is the promise. The EU restricted compound providing the visual whiteness is in the formula. That is worth knowing. Number 3. Colgate Max Fresh Advanced Whitening. Maximum freshness, advanced whitening. The front of this product is working hard. The back of it contains two synthetic dyes that have no connection to either of those promises. FD and C Blue No. 1 is in this formula. Independent testing assigned it a concern score of 3. The dye is petroleum-derived and has accumulated enough scrutiny in the research literature that it appears on the Environmental Working Group's list of flagged cosmetic ingredients. It does not clean teeth. It does not whiten enamel. It does not freshen breath. FD and C Yellow No. 5 is also in this formula. Independent testing assigned it a concern score of 4, among the highest individual ingredient scores of anything reviewed in this entire research set. Food dyes, including Yellow No. 5, have been linked in research to allergic reactions and, in certain populations, behavioral concerns. It appears in concentrations that indicate meaningful presence, not trace amounts. SLS is confirmed in the Max Fresh formula. Titanium dioxide is present. Independent testing returned moderate cancer concern and moderate allergen concern flags for this specific product. Neither dye cleans anything. Neither dye protects enamel. Neither dye prevents a cavity. They are in the formula because the toothpaste looks a certain way. And in this case, the ingredients creating that look carry some of the highest individual concern ratings in this research set. The advanced whitening claim is on the front. The Score 4 synthetic dye is on the back. Those are not the same product. Number 2. Crest Whitening plus Scope. The combination play. Whitening from Crest, freshness from Scope, bundled into one tube and positioned as the product that handles everything. Two trusted names on one label. In independent testing, this specific formula received one of the higher overall concern scores of any product reviewed in this entire research set. A score of 4. And the reason isn't a single concerning ingredient, it's the accumulation. SLS is present. FD and C Blue No. 1 is in the formula at a concern score of 3. FD and C Yellow No. 5 is present at a concern score of 4, the same score as the product's overall rating. And acetylpyridinium chloride, an antimicrobial compound used to reduce bacteria in the mouth, scores a 4 in independent review, flagged for concern at the concentrations present in consumer products. 3 separate ingredients in this formula each carry individual concern scores that match the product's own overall score. The total concern profile isn't being driven by one outlier ingredient that skews the number. It's the combined result of multiple compounds, each bringing their own flags into the same tube. The Scope branding adds a freshness identity. The freshness association runs all the way back to the original mouthwash, the minty blue bottle in the medicine cabinet. That association does real work on the front of this pack. The ingredient list adds 3 high concern compounds to the back of it. Freshness is the promise. The score of 4 is what independent testing returned. Those are different conversations. Number 1. Colgate Total. This one has the longest paper trail. More independent sources flagged this brand than any other in this research. That convergence doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a brand has accumulated enough documented history across enough independent data points that the pattern becomes impossible to overlook. Start with the current formula. The Clean Mint and Whitening Gel variants both contain SLS. Both contain propylene glycol, scored at a concern level of 3 in independent review, flagged for potential irritation to mucous membrane tissue. Both contain titanium dioxide. And the Clean Mint formula carries the only high allergen designation of any product in this entire research set. Every other brand reviewed in this episode scored moderate at most for allergen concern. Colgate Total Clean Mint is in a different category. But the current formula is only part of the story. Until 2019, Colgate Total contained triclosan. Triclosan is an antibacterial chemical that the FDA ultimately banned from toothpastes following accumulating evidence of endocrine disruption potential, antibiotic resistance contribution, and thyroid hormone interference in research studies. One study found that people brushing with this brand carried 5 times the triclosan concentration in their urine compared to those using other products. That study is in the research. The triclosan was not a trace ingredient, not an incidental byproduct. It was the active antibacterial agent, the thing the brand marketed as the reason Colgate Total was superior to regular toothpaste. Colgate reformulated in 2019 following regulatory action. The triclosan is no longer in the US formula. The propylene glycol remains. The SLS remains. The high allergen designation remains. And then there is the FDA record. Colgate Optic White products, including the stain prevention, charcoal, and high-impact variants, were subject to a voluntary recall in September 2022 in cooperation with the FDA due to improper storage outside of labeled temperature requirements at distribution locations. Viewers should verify current recall status close to the time of watching. In December 2025, Colgate products were included in a broader voluntary recall at a distribution facility in cooperation with the FDA due to potential contamination from salmonella and insanitary conditions during storage. Viewers should verify current recall status close to the time of watching. Both are distribution failures, not formula recalls. The distinction matters and is worth stating clearly. But the pattern of appearing twice in FDA records, while simultaneously carrying the only high allergen rating in this research set, while simultaneously removing its flagship antibacterial ingredient only after a federal ban, that is a consistent relationship between the brand's front-of-pack authority and the back-of-pack reality that has required external pressure to close. Colgate Total is the most trusted toothpaste brand in the country. That trust is doing a significant amount of work. The question the research leaves behind is whether the product has earned all of it. 3 brands came back clean. All 3 cleared the research. The ranking reflects what independent testing confirmed. The cleanest institutionally verified profile earns the top position, regardless of where it sits on the shelf or how easy it is to find. Number 3. Sensodyne Pronamel Intensive Enamel Repair. 2 Sensodyne products appeared earlier in this episode, numbers 7 and 6. Those are not this product. The Pronamel line is a different formula with a meaningfully different ingredient profile. No SLS, confirmed across the independent testing data. Potassium nitrate at 5%, a desensitizing agent that works by blocking pain signals from exposed dentin to the nerve, reducing the sharp sensitivity response that brings people to the Sensodyne brand in the first place. Sodium fluoride for enamel remineralization. Low relative dentin abrasivity, meaning the formula is gentle on enamel that's already compromised. Titanium dioxide is present in the Pronamel formula. That is being disclosed here directly, not buried. It is present. It carries the same EU regulatory context discussed earlier in this episode. The formula is not perfect by every measure, but the SLS absence, the single most relevant ingredient distinction for anyone with sensitive oral tissue, is confirmed. Across the research, this specific line within the brand consistently returned as the formula that cleared scrutiny. Not Sensodyne broadly, not the complete protection line, not the whitening sensitivity and gum line. This one. The name on the front of every Sensodyne tube is the same. The formulas on the back are not. For anyone already in the Sensodyne family, and there are a significant number of people who have been in it for years. That distinction is the practical takeaway from this entire episode. The brand they trust has a product that earns it. It is just not necessarily the one currently sitting in the bathroom. Number 2. Dr. Bronner's All-One Toothpaste, Peppermint. Independent testing returned a score of 2 for this formula, one of the lowest concern ratings of any toothpaste reviewed in this research. For context, the worst performer in the bad brand section scored a 4. Dr. Bronner's sits at a 2, with a profile that looks nothing like the bad brands at that number. No SLS, no artificial sweeteners, no titanium dioxide, no synthetic dyes. The formula leads with glycerin, then aloe vera leaf juice, then hydrated silica, then calcium carbonate. It uses potassium cocoate, a coconut-derived soap, as a surfactant, stevia as the sweetener, tocopherol, vitamin E, for preservation. The brand lists 70% organic ingredients in the formulation and holds cruelty-free certification. One source noted the formula may be slightly more abrasive than comparable clean options, worth knowing for anyone already managing enamel sensitivity or thin enamel from acid erosion. That is an honest caveat, and it belongs here. Otherwise, the profile is what it claims to be. The ingredient list is short, recognizable, and consistent with the brand's positioning. In a category where the gap between front and back is the recurring story, Dr. Bronner's is notable for being boring in the best possible way. Number 1. David's Premium Natural Toothpaste, Natural Peppermint. This is the one that came back the cleanest, by the widest margin. David's is the only product in this entire research set to carry verified status from independent testing. Not a good score, not a low score. Verified, meaning the specific formulation, not just the brand, was reviewed by independent scientists. Every ingredient confirmed below their established health and safety threshold at the time of review. That distinction matters because it describes a different level of scrutiny than a product simply not being flagged. No SLS in this formula. In its place, sodium cococoyl glutamate, a coconut-derived surfactant that provides the same functional cleaning and foaming action without the oral tissue irritation concerns attached to SLS. That substitution is not incidental. It requires formulation effort, and it costs more. The brand made it anyway. No artificial sweeteners, no titanium dioxide, no synthetic dyes, no ingredients on independent testing's concern lists in any significant capacity. The formula is sweetened with stevia. It uses calcium carbonate as the abrasive. Xylitol is present, which has its own positive research record for reducing harmful oral bacteria. The front of the pack says natural. The back of the pack confirms it. That alignment is rarer in this category than it should be. Across 9 brands reviewed in this episode, 9 products with varying degrees of gap between what the label promises and what the formula contains, David's is the one where both sides of the tube are having the same conversation. Links in the description for everything mentioned in this episode. One practical thing to carry into the toothpaste aisle. Ingredients in personal care products are listed by weight, highest concentration first. As a general rule of thumb, the first 7 positions represent the bulk of the formula. They account for the majority of what ends up in the mouth twice a day, every day. What appears after position 10 is present in trace amounts. What appears in the first 7 positions is present in meaningful concentration. 3 things worth looking for on the back of any tube before buying. First, SLS. listed as sodium lauryl sulfate, or sometimes sodium dodecyl sulfate. If it appears in the first 7 ingredients and there is any history of canker sores or oral tissue sensitivity, it is the first thing to eliminate. Second, artificial dyes. FD and C blue number 1, FD and C yellow number 5, D and C red number 30. None of those ingredients clean teeth. None of them protect enamel. Their presence in a toothpaste formula is a cosmetic decision. Third, propylene glycol, particularly in any formula marketed for sensitive mouths or gum health. Independent testing flags it for potential irritation to mucous membrane tissue. One green flag worth recognizing when it appears: sodium cocoyl glutamate, listed as the surfactant instead of SLS. It is a cleaner swap. It does the same functional job through a different mechanism. It shows up in a small number of formulas. When it does, it is a signal that the brand made an ingredient decision that cost something. The front of the pack is the marketing. The back of the pack is the evidence. In this category, those two things have a consistent habit of not agreeing. The label is always available. It is the one thing in the aisle that cannot be changed by the packaging. If this research was useful, subscribing means the next episode arrives directly. There's another video in the description worth watching from here, along with links to everything mentioned today. Stay informed.